another stream on YouTube on both places, but we'll have to like send people the link so they can go there. So
why does it do this?
no idea. I don't know.
Because it's bitchy, Allison. And because probably half to 3/4 of the people working in tech don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They're flying by the seat of their pants.
All
right. I think people are rejoining. I'm going to put a link here so people can come into the chat, and I'm going to close this other thing. So I don't know why that happened. It's out of my hands. Don't blame me.
I don't know why that happened. It's out of my hands.
It's just sort of like that situation with the guy. I just, just sort of happened. Murder happened.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we're back. I do see people are rejoining. Sorry about that. I don't have an explanation. Sometimes I'm doing OBS and then I just get disconnected, even though I was in the chat with Karen and Allison talking to them, but it just kicks me off and then it just goes back on. So I don't think it's the internet. I don't think it's my computer's ability to do this job. It's just something else, and it happened when I was playing the video. But okay.
Oh god, OBS is awful. Hannah uses it too, and
yeah,
and
well,
it gives her no end of trouble. So
yeah, I don't know if there's like something that's generally better, but if you guys know,
API. It's the API. It's the API. It's the API.
Okay.
It's how different apps talk to other apps.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get right into it. Well, first, before we do that, I do want to remind everyone we are doing our month. So please go to feedthebadger.com/project/Badger Media. Let me try that again. Please go to feedthebadger.com/project/Badger-Media-Blitz. I see that we just got something. Probably because the stream went down and then they were like, well, what can I do now? Well, how about? So
I can tell them the stream went down.
We got something from Egregious Charles, $25. Thank you, Egregious. Very much appreciated. And again, if you want to join our very generous supporters, please go to feedthebadger.com/project/Badger-Media-Blitz. We got a lot of ground to cover this month. For various reasons, and we haven't missed our goal yet, and I do hope we do it again. that was really lame, but anyway, thank you to Egregious Charles for that $25. Did you want to give a little?
I guess I'll just push a button. I don't know what it's gonna play, but hold on.
Come on, man.
That's not quite. That's okay.
No,
that's okay.
You.
Just thank
you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, $25. Come on, man. Oh no, that's very nice.
No. It's very appreciated, Charles.
It's very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Let's play this clip again.
Keep playing the clip again.
I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not deck you. I was hitting you.
There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say, I started the fight.
I know much has been made of these audio tapes. And as I testify,
I
understand what you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening. It was evidence of a negotiation of how to talk about that with your abuser.
But I am looking at a transcript.
Okay, I'll pause it there so that you can say, she brings out the transcript. Let's listen to the rest of this and then Amber Heard's reaction. This is about another 30 seconds.
Do you want us to respond? Because much has been made of this clip. You mean much has made of evidence?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. That's really bizarre framing.
Yeah, of course.
That says, he says, you start physical fights, and you say, I did start a physical fight.
I did start a physical fight.
You did.
But you're telling me today I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk.
Oh my God! Really?
I know.
Really, when your
That's
life
why
is at risk.
I had to pick this.
Yes,
one.
really.
When your life is at risk. Okay, you know what? I'm not seeing a bunch of, like, because I've known battered women, okay? I've known women who were battered by their husbands, right? They have scars all over their faces, right? Because women are more delicate than men. I'm sorry, their skull bones, their facial bones, all of that, their skin, everything is more delicate than men's, right? Because they did not evolve to be beaten, right? Men evolved to be beaten, okay, and be able to deal with it, right? Women did not evolve to be beaten and deal with it and just, like, the front of my face is like sturdy enough, the bone structure in my cheekbones is sturdy enough to withstand all of this freaking pummeling, right? And my skin is tough enough and resilient enough to not break and scar when I get hit and all of that, right? That is what the reality is. And I'm looking at this bitch and she looks flawless. She looks fucking flawless.
Well, it's even worse than that. As was pointed out in the trial, Johnny wears a lot of like rings around his fingers. So she's also asking us to believe that she basically got hit by the equivalent of knuckle dusters.
She doesn't have a fucking diamond-shaped scar in her cheek. No.
But even more than she doesn't appear to be bruised. She doesn't have injuries consistent with her testimony. But regardless, what she's saying here is that she's on tape initiating violence or saying that she starts fights, and she's saying that she started fights in defense. I mean, because I think it goes a little bit.
She's saying she started fights when she feared for her life. Why would you start a fight when you fear for your life?
Well, apparently because it was to mitigate the potential danger that she was in.
You got a $2 million.
Don't shame survivors, Karen, with your logic.
You've got $2 million. You got a $3.6 million net worth in your fucking bank account. You can't just pack your bags and leave. And get an apartment in Greenwich Village get an Airbnb that's owned by a couple of gay guys who like to make freaking art of their own nudes and then have like an inflatable bed on some fucking converted porch where like the second person gets wedged between the inflatable bed and the wall, Alison. Yeah, this is really specific, Alison, right? Okay, and they don't even own salt and pepper shakers, but you know what? It's better than living with someone who's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, no, that was a horrific experience for me, Alison. I had to cook in that place. I had to cook for someone in that place. They didn't have salt, they didn't have pepper. They kept their pots and pans in the oven, Alison. There was no toilet paper in the house. Their linen closet was glued shut. It was painted shut. I almost pulled the doorknob off. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to damage the apartment, right? The entire front closet was like one tiny little toolbox and $8,000 worth of silk ties and dress shirts. And shoes.
And also
and I had to deal with that. They didn't even have a cupboard. They had 4 forks in the whole place. Yeah, and you know what? I could live like that. And if I was fleeing an abuser, And that was the best I could do. That's what I would do. And you know what? That isn't the best I could do if I had $3.6 million fucking dollars in the bank.
Yes. And the other thing is, I mean, you could turn that around and say, why didn't Johnny leave? Well, honestly, he did. That's why she was running after him, initiating the violence.
No, this is so typical. This is so typical of women, right? You know, like this is what I heard in the apartment, right? Near mine, right? I heard banging, I heard screaming, I heard yelling, I heard shrieking, you know, all the woman, right? Banging, stomping, banging, shrieking, yelling, swearing, right? All the woman. The guy was just like, please, can we just leave this for later? Can we please just leave this for later? And then the footsteps, room to room, and closing the door. And then she'd just bang in through the door and start it up again. And then he'd leave that room and he'd go into another room. So he'd go from one bedroom to the other bedroom to the bathroom, right? Trying to get away from her. And she would just follow him and burst her way in, right? And keep it going and keep it going and keep it, sometimes for up to 2 hours, 2 fucking hours. And then he'd finally hit her once. And she'd be like freaking throwing shit at him and hitting him the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm hearing thuds. I'm not hearing like, ooh, like a Kleenex box hit the wall. It barely missed him. No. You know, like, she's not throwing styrofoam cups. She's throwing freaking heavy objects at him. Right? And things are shattering. They have like a baby sitting there crying. Okay? And he's just trying to get away. And then finally, after trying to get away from this bitch for 2 hours, right? And she will not let him leave the situation. She will not let him depart the fight. Okay? He finally hits her once.
And it's over.
And it's over. And then 20 minutes later, they're out pushing the baby in the stroller. I don't see a bruise on her. It was an open-handed slap, I'm guessing.
He went to the Sean Connery school of handling women.
Yeah. Sean Connery school.
All right, I just want to point out that had
Sean
John
Connery school of handling.
You only have yourself to
women.
blame. Yeah.
No, and it's like, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm sitting there for like 2 hours in the middle of the afternoon, wondering, do I need to call the cops? Right? And I'm there thinking, well, he hasn't made any aggressive moves towards her. I can hear every fucking word that they're saying. Right? All he's doing is pleading for her to leave him alone. All she's doing is screaming all kinds of profanity at him. Right? And I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting there with the phone in my hand going, do I call 911? Do I call 911? Well, you know, if I call 911, then they're going to take him away.
Yeah.
And then that baby's alone with that woman. So you know what? I'm not going to call them. And then one smack, and or maybe he pins her up against the wall, and then it's over. No bruises, no nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck
am I witnessing, huh?
Yeah, and I know in my heart of hearts, while I'm thinking about whether I need to call 911, what's going to happen? Yeah, they're going to pull him out in cuffs. And that baby's going to be alone with that woman.
Yeah. Well, and in this case, I think that if Johnny Depp had actually retaliated once, he would have been utterly hooped.
Oh yeah, done.
He'd be done.
Oh yeah,
so,
no. If there was a bruise to present to the cops,
yeah, genuine, like something that
wasn't makeup.
Yeah. Well, first of all, she would have cooperated with the cops, and in fact, that's likely. A lot of people have said that's likely what she was trying to. She was trying to bait him into being aggressive. The only problem is that based on what I've read, what I've heard of his past, he had a very ingrained response of fleeing or trying to make himself as invisible as possible in the face of abuse because he was abused by his mother, who was also physically violent. So his I guess natural or in like habit was just to retreat. The more
because there's no way to win. There's no way to win. All you can do is back off the battle, right?
Yeah, and if you're a guy in this kind of situation, just remember that there is no way to win the situation. I'm getting distracted by your memes there.
As things stand now. Oh Jesus, Brian!
Put it back to the content.
Those are very cute babies.
All right.
Yeah, they're cute.
I'll just put the Supreme Court up. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So as somebody who's pro-choice, I think that this is a legal thing. It's been kicked down to the states where it probably should be, because there hasn't been like an amendment to the Constitution. I'm not really well versed on American law, but I don't think that this is the
It's not the end of abortion. It's not the end of abortion.
You know, it's just reasserting state rights, and I'm pretty sure even Ruth Ginsburg spoke out about how
she said it's not going to last. It's bad law. It's inevitably going to get overturned. She knew it.
Because it's bad law. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just enjoying the absolute meltdown, but I know that like it's not that catastrophic. You know,
no, it's not. I don't think it's that catastrophic.
No, it's actually better this way because it's
and the other thing is this,
if you think about it in the states. So
if you think about it in a certain way, now pre-op trans women's parental rights are getting closer or more equal with cis women's parental rights. I'm just saying.
Yeah, sure.
I'm saying that if you look at it in terms of trans rights, if you have a pre-op trans woman who has reproductive sex with her cis girlfriend, and that girlfriend gets pregnant, now their rights are actually getting closer together in terms of
okay, don't pull this crap on me today, Allison.
Okay. Is it too confusing? All right, let's get back to something.
It's not confusing. It's just annoying. Okay.
All right, let's go back to this because there's like 10 seconds left in this first clip. So,
but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the luxury of saying, "Hey, this is black and white," because it's anything but when you're living in it.
He says he.
All right, I'm pausing. That was the first clip.
Yeah, no, but what I'm gonna say here is every single ex of Johnny Depp, when she made her allegations public, right? Every single ex came out. These are women who dated him, who were married to him, who were divorced by him, you know, all of that, right? They all came out and said, yeah, no, what Amber Heard is saying, that's not the man I know, right? Yeah, he did drugs. Yeah, he drank a lot. Yeah, you know, he was always a little bit of a fuck up in some ways, right? Never abusive. Never, ever, ever, like, what's her name? Parody, his ex-wife, right? She was like that. This woman is describing a Johnny Depp that I was never married to, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not the man I was married to.
Are you talking about
And
Moss?
when you have a parade of exes coming to your defense.
Yep.
I'm just
Vanessa Paradis. Oh yeah, she was an actress too, or
French actress.
Yeah, I do know that name. I was thinking about Carrie-Anne Moss, right? That was like the supermodel from the 90s.
Yeah.
That also vouched for him.
Yeah, no, like every single ex of his was like, yeah, no, that's completely out of character for him. Like, to lay a hand on a woman, like, no, never, ever, 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 ever. Did I experience even any intuition that might be a thing? Right?
Yeah.
You know, and he's got his problems, and we had tumultuous times, right? We had our disagreements, we had our arguments. I was never afraid that he would ever lift a hand to me, because it was just obvious. It was just obvious. Okay, can you stop threatening to hit me, honey? He's hungry.
Did he make you flinch?
No.
Sometimes men just do that to see if you flinch.
Yeah, no. He knows.
And then they
knows.
won the dominance battle.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. What we do?
If you
what
flinch,
we do
you're cooking me steak.
Yeah, no. If what you know, like when I say something that like really gets him and he doesn't have any kind of recovery from it, I say some joke at his expense, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you," and then he like sticks his fist in my ribs and rubs it up and down and tickles me. And then sometimes I do that to him. Usually I tackle him onto a soft surface while I'm doing it, and I just rub the shit out of his ribs with my fist, and then we just like both laugh and stuff because it's fun.
It's funny.
Or you're basically experiencing Stockholm syndrome, and he's actually a terrible abuser, and your life is
well. There was that time. There was that time when he was like showing me self-defense moves, and like I elbowed him in the face, and then he grabbed my elbow and like pulled me off balance, and I hit the floor, flat on my back, and that was the first time my spine had been straight in years, and it actually felt kind of okay.
Okay. With that, with Karen's spine straightening story, I do want to remind everyone so please take the time to go to feedthebadger.com/projects/badger-media-blitz.
Okay,
and
Jesus people, can you please go there so I don't have to listen to this pitch? Okay, because I can't stand it. I can't stand the hard sell. I can't stand the pitch. I hate it. I hate it. I hate listening to it. It's annoying because I feel guilty that I don't donate money to Honey Badger Radio, even though I'm an unpaid employee of Honey Badger Radio. So just go and do it. Jesus Christ, can you please help?
Yeah, I actually would appreciate it.
Be spared from Alison doing her cringy sales pitch, because she's like, face it, she's not the best salesperson out there. I've met better. I bought a car from one once.
Okay, all right. So please go to feedthebadger.com/projects badger-media-blitz. Every bit helps. $5 is the latest $5 that got us over the line. All right. Let's finish the segment.
I got a couple super chats. I'm just gonna read through them really quick. So,
thank God.
Michael Keller gives us $2 in CHFs. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. And he says, "Make Karen dub Amber Heard with her witch voice, please." And then I got a Rumble rant from Jonathan Doman for $5, and he says, "God bless SCOTUS." All right, thank you for the super chats and Rumble rant. Now I'm gonna play the next clip. I did this like a week ago, so I don't even remember.
Brian, you might have missed some stuff here. Amasong gave us $5 US, and having both streams play having both streams play at the same time and attempting to synchronize the audio is so surreal. Honey Badger Radio now in stereo. You don't actually have to do that.
Yeah,
you can choose
just
one or the other.
Pick one. I think the Badger live streams is the one I would go with, since it is a live stream, and that's the channel I want to make a bit bigger. A lot bigger if we can. But yeah, like just pick one.
And we also got some super chows. And I just want to remind everyone that the best way to send us messages, because you don't have to deal with censorship and we get the full benefit of what you are sending us in terms of a tip, is just feedthebadger.com/justthetip. So please send those messages to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And very appreciated.
We don't mean anything sexual by it.
No, of course not. That's not sexual in the slightest.
Nope. Just the tip. Definitely
Just
not
the tip.
sexual.
All right. I might have to do some arm twisting.
So Electric Elephant gave us $10 Australian and says, could you please upload the Hassan clip by itself for sharing? Also, can we please get... Well, the Hassan clip is just audio. So, I mean, I don't have the video of it. I might have it somewhere, but it's just an audio clip, so I'm not really sure like if that's okay. Otherwise, you'll have to go find the stream that Hassan did when he was responding to Jubilee and their men's rights activist versus feminist thing. That's when he did it. And it's kind of early on, so you know it's not gonna be too difficult. But anyway, he also says, also, can we please get Karen on Sitch and Adam? Great nuanced convos, anti-woke, and a good size audience that needs some men's rights input. Well, I'd be willing to go on Sitch and Adam because I listen to them sometimes, and I actually end up shouting at the screen because of how much they get wrong.
No, God, yeah.
So, you know, I guess if the word is nuance, it's a new way of saying wrong. But yeah, I'll go on there.
No, you're
I'm sorry though. Like,
Brian.
look, I understand that there are a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, let's find the common ground, but a lot of times people are compromising ground for no reason other than to just not appear to be like not nuanced. And it really frustrates me because there are things where there is right and wrong, and some people are wrong.
Right answer and a wrong answer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, and it's like the you know, like there's this idea that the middle ground fallacy is a fallacy, right? Like it's not always somewhere between the two positions,
right?
And I'm increasingly finding that that I'm like my positions are hardening. Not based on, you know, like you would call them the left or the progressives or whatever, going to their extreme, and I'm like hardening my position.
Right. It's not a reactionary thing. It's like a rational thing.
It's just basically okay. So now I actually have to think about the issue.
Yeah, like you know what
in detail and yeah and
you know what the nuanced position is on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing? You know what the nuanced position is? The nuanced position is they're both terrible people, they're both abusive, and we're all wasting our time, and we're all just like getting caught up in Hollywood drama, and stop watching reality TV. That's the nuanced position, supposedly, right? And when I say no, that what you've said is not that clever. It's not as smart as you think you are. Put your ego aside. Look at what's actually in front of you, and you will see that Amber Heard was abusive and Johnny Depp was doing his best to avoid it. This doesn't mean that Johnny Depp is a saint or an angel, because that's not an argument anyone ever made. Nobody ever made that argument. I think we all know, right? And just because he might like Johnny Depp might have personally disliked you for your own political positions because he has his own beliefs, does not mean that he was not a victim. So, like, you know, you have to remain objective. Did you hear about, I'm sorry, Alison, this is a kind of a side thing. Did you hear about what the allegations against Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson? Karen?
What?
Or Alison, have you guys heard about that?
I haven't heard.
I haven't.
Okay, so someone released basically a short video. It's like a half an hour. They're calling it a documentary, and they're making the claim that Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, has made homosexual advances or passes at several men that have passed through his, you know, bond thing, right? And of course, like it made its way to the manosphere. And when I say the manosphere,
that's not really an allegation, though. Like
no. They have alleged that he did that he is
They're
closeted
pulling-
homosexual.
Yeah,
They're pulling a Santorum on him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is that even if that's true, which I'm not saying it is there any kind of force involved in that?
Well, you mean that he's doing something rapey? Well,
yes.
Well, here's the thing. There is no, as far as like whether or not it's crossing a line, they're being really vague on it. But but this is my point though. My point is that this information got out, and all it is basically the Me Too movement again. It's just Me Too allegations. Yeah. They're not using the hashtag, but they're basically saying, look, he's a closeted homosexual. And also, he happens to have beliefs about Christianity that don't line up with this other orthodoxy or this other way of seeing things. And, he's like a hypocrite and all these other things, right? And a bunch of people in the supposed red pill community have essentially just gone along with this. And they've ousted him, and Anthony Dream Johnson has, cast him out, made a bunch of memes about him and all that. And I watched this and I was like, I watched the whole thing. No smoking gun, no evidence. It's just people making accusations. And they're trying to destroy this man's life for it. And I mean, I've had Jesse on my show twice. And maybe some people in the audience are going to speculate on it. Like, could he be but none of that matters. There is no evidence. If how can you possibly claim without looking like an absolute asshat that based on allegations against the man, he should be condemned? Like, you are a moron, or you are intentionally causing harm to the whole manosphere by essentially going along with these allegations without evidence. This is what I'm talking about. Like, what's the nuanced middle position on this? How about no evidence, no allegation, full stop, period.
No. How about due process, and make your allegations publicly, make them to the police if there was anything, show proof. This is what's really annoying, right? Because there's a whole bunch of ways that you can prove that somebody made advances on you, right? Like it's like you can have corroborating witnesses, or you could have text messages, or you could have emails, or because increasingly everything's happening in writing, right? And all of anytime I ever hear anybody say that something didn't happen in writing and only happened in cash, right? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Right? Show me the fucking receipts. Okay? Show me the receipts, because otherwise, because the only reason to do nothing in writing and only in cash, right?
Yeah.
Is so that there are no receipts. And I'm sorry, but it's because you want to get away with something. And I'm sorry, and Jesse Lee Peterson, I went on his show as a bisexual woman. He knew that. He didn't vilify me for it. He just wanted to talk about the issues that I talk about. And,
that's sort of where I'm coming in on this. If it's not totally an allegation of harassment.
Kind. Yeah, he was totally kind, and he was totally open-minded. Mm-hmm. And he didn't say amazing in a sarcastic voice.
I actually went on his show too. On his show too, and he was. I don't know if he knew that I'm bisexual. Didn't really come up. Wasn't relevant to anything that we talked about. But here's the thing. This is immediately dismissible on its face because it doesn't involve any kind of actual criminal or malicious behavior, as far as I can tell. So who cares? This is like a big nothing burger.
No, that's how it should be. But this is it's being used to destroy the man. And the fact that he's supposed to be a reverend, it's not about necessarily getting him thrown in jail. It's about destroying his reputation.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. If this is something that he did, right? Made sexual advances on men. Then that means he's a hypocrite. Okay, I'll give you that. But bring the receipts. Prove that he made those advances.
Yeah, well, they can't. And
that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. And the other thing is that it's not really so much the allegations that are out there, because from what I can tell, Peterson is just ignoring them and he's just carrying on with his show. Some people have called into his show to confront him about it, and he's asked them for evidence, and then they would just, hang up or whatever. So, it's not yielding any fruit. But my main issue we're going back to what we were discussing, was that on some things, on many things, in fact, there is no, the search for the middle ground or the search for nuance is not always worthwhile, because sometimes things are very clear. So if you tell me, well, Jesse Lee Peterson, he's a hypocrite, fake pastor that's secretly a closeted gay, blah, blah, blah. And I know that because of these things that a bunch of men said about him that also happen to oppose him, based on his religion or his religious beliefs. But don't pay attention to that, because clearly there must be something here because of how many people came forward and said something. And I'm like, there is no nuanced position. You are lying to me until you present me with evidence. I'm going to treat it like a lie until I see, and then I will react accordingly based on what the evidence says. And if the worst thing is that, Jesse had a dark time in his life at one point, because we don't know when this happened or whatever, then we just go on from there. But there's nothing criminal that's going to come out of it. So, I'm just saying that at the end of the day, not everything nuanced positions are not necessarily the best positions, because it allows the dishonest positions to get in if there are any.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. A nuanced position isn't in between two fighting parties. A nuanced position isn't, I've made the conclusion and I am nuancing my way to the specific conclusion that I want. That's black and white. You just are using sophistry to get there. That's not nuance. A nuanced position is looking at the evidence and seeing it for what it is. And in this case, the evidence is that Amber Heard initiated fights. Johnny Depp was trying to escape them and did everything he could to de-escalate them. Yes, he got bitchy. Who wouldn't, really, considering what he was dealing with? And he's in many cases, when you listen to him, he sounds like the one who's losing his voice. What I mean by that is he's the one who's suddenly, or not even suddenly, but probably over time, granting her the right to validate his emotions. And what I mean by that is there's one point where he says, don't tell me what it's like to be punched. Don't tell me what I feel like. But once you start framing it that way, that means that she can tell him. When he's pleading with her, don't tell me how I feel, she's actually implicitly saying, you can tell me how I feel. Please don't tell me, that it's this way. And it's like, that's not the behavior of an abuser. That's the behavior of an abuse victim. That's the behavior of someone who's been psychologically ground down to the point where he is desperate for this woman to recognize him as a freaking person. And I don't hear that in anything that she says.
Yeah.
Everything that she says is a demand, or an aggressive act. It's like, no, this is pretty. There's no very little nuance here. She behaves like somebody who sees everything in terms of dominance and submission, and she is always trying to dominate. So, anyway, let's finish this.
Let's keep going.
Let's get back on topic.
Electric Elephant gives us $5 Australian and says, I like Sitch and Adam a lot more than you, but I would love to see you guys debate them on stuff. I love clashing ideas against each other. Well, if you want to ask them about it, if they're interested, I'll reach out. So,
and I just want to, before we continue, once again, thank you to Charles, but none of you guys have actually, taken a moment to just go to feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. So
There's
please
a link in the
do.
description.
Yeah, there's a link in the description. You can go there, just put it in your. Please do take the time. I really appreciate it, and for me, it's actually really stressful. When we're not able to make or get moved towards our goal. So I really appreciate anybody who takes the time. Even $5, $10, every bit helps. So please do go to feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. I will do another shout out in a few minutes.
All right.
Sorry, Karen.
Playing more of the video.
These injuries are there?
I did not seek medical treatment after Australia, no.
Not for the rape?
No, I did not want to tell anyone.
There's no experience like being cross-examined. What was that experience like for you?
The scariest, most intimidating thing for anybody talking about sexual violence.
No,
being believed,
God.
being called
Give me
liar.
a fucking break. Give me a fucking break.
Do you hear the creepy music they were playing in the background?
Yeah.
But poisoning the well. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the scariest thing to talk about is explaining your taxes when you're being audited.
Mm.
When the IRS or the CRA is going back through 7 years of your tax records, that's the scariest fucking thing, right? Being cross-examined, if you know you've been raped, right? And I've been on a, I've actually fought a case, sexual harassment case, right? A boss, toxic boss. He was toxic to everybody, right? But, and I quit my job and I applied for unemployment insurance and they denied me because I apparently quit without cause. And I took it to the referees, the board of referees. And I had to testify and be cross-examined and all of that. And basically say the kind of shit that guy would say to me, right?
Yeah.
And then I got denied again. The board of referees was like, well, he didn't bend her over the desk and try to stick it to her, right? So it wasn't actually sexual harassment. It was just verbal. It was just verbal, a constant barrage of, and then here's the thing too, because we went to the Legal Aid Society, and they had assigned a law student to take it to the board of referees, and then 2 years later, I get a phone call from Legal Aid. I've moved, right? I've moved on with my life, and the guy says, "Well, I'm the new law student in the office here, and I'm looking at your case, and I think we can actually get you your unemployment insurance money. We can win the case if we take it to the umpire, the Supreme Court of Unemployment Insurance, basically." And I was like, I don't want to fucking deal with it. And he says, "Oh, you don't have to. I'll go there. I'll go to Vancouver. I'll do the whole thing. I can just work with the file that we have." And I ended up getting my money. And it's like, yeah, no, it's unpleasant. It's unpleasant. But you know what? There's a whole bunch of things that are less pleasant than being cross-examined about certain issues of your sexual life or your intimate relationships, right? Like, I don't know, a bone marrow biopsy, passing a kidney stone, having a gallbladder attack, dying
here's the other
of cancer, right? Like watching your child die of cancer, right? There's
How about
all
the rape
kinds of
itself?
things. Yeah, well, and the rape itself should, and if you were raped, and if you are a righteous victim, right? Like she's trying to portray herself to be, right? I am a righteous victim. I was raped, and I'm willing to talk about it, and I'm willing to share my story because this is going to empower women everywhere, right? Cross-examination is a fucking cakewalk. It's a cakewalk. You're just like, no, I'm sure. I'm sure what happened to me, and I'm sure about what I'm going to say, and I'm sure about what I'm going to say, how it affected me, and I'm 100% positive. It's and you're going to have the memory in your head, and you're going to have answers ready, and you're not going to have to sit there for like 30 seconds and think about what you need to say, right? You're not going to do that, right?
Having
you're just
said
going to
that,
be
it
like,
can be quite traumatizing to talk about something like that. Because I remember when I talked about my experience of having been kicked out of the freaking Calgary Expo, and I got upset. So I mean, but having said that,
but you got upset, and then you were like, "May I be excused, Your Honor?" And he said yes, and then you ran out of the courtroom before he even said yes. Okay, and then you had your little emotional outburst in the bathroom.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you came back in and you were composed and you went on with it, right? Because you knew you were in the right. You weren't trying to like freaking be like, "Ooh, I need to like emote to make people pity me."
No, I was actually
just-
spending most of it trying not to.
Yeah,
trying to be as calm and even as possible, which is another thing that I really sympathize with how Johnny Depp was presenting himself. He was just trying to get through it, you know, and he wasn't going. And the thing is that a lot of people have made all kinds of statements, at least on Amber Heard's side, about her not being the perfect victim, her not being judged if she emotes too much or if she emotes too little, and it's not true. The judgment is that not that she was emoting too much or she was emoting too little, it was that she was acting.
Yeah.
You know, if she had been genuinely upset, that would have come through. If she had been genuinely upset but trying to control her emotions and keep it very even and under control, that would also have come through. That's not what came through. And again, here she's saying that the cross-examination was the worst thing, the most humiliating thing that she had ever experienced. What about the original rape? And the rape that she described was horrific because it's one of the most dehumanizing things to do to someone is to rape them with what amounts to a weapon. Because she said that he used this gigantic bottle on her, which would have caused all kinds of injury, which is what Camille is calling out. It's not an issue of, oh, you weren't injured enough to be a victim. It's that your testimony is not consistent with the evidence of your injuries. And this is something that would have required medical attention. You don't get raped by a bottle that big that you don't even know is broken without needing medical attention. This isn't something you walk off or put some ice on or put arnica cream on or whatever it is. It's not, this is something that you are going to probably need stitches for.
Yeah.
Okay. Because she basically said she was raped by like one of those square glass bottles. It's like, you're not walking that off. You're not walking it off. And the funny thing is the reason why she did that, I was looking through her testimony. I looked through her deposition. I looked through what happened, a little bit of what happened in the UK. Her testimony is constantly evolving and adjusting itself to the legal environment in which she was in. She used the sexual violence testimony because in the UK, there's certain procedures in the court in terms of I think how they approach it if it is of a sensitive manner, and all sexual violence is considered to be in a sensitive manner, so it's treated differently than other cases in which sexual violence doesn't take place. So it's entirely likely she completely fabricated this in order to get different treatment from the UK courts.
Yeah.
And it's like none of this adds up. And her saying it's the most humiliating thing to be cross-examined on rape.
It probably is really humiliating for her because she's looking at the gallery and she's looking at the jury and they're not believing her.
Yeah, and why would they? Like again, that is not. I mean, why she went with one of the things that is really actually sort of chilling, guys, is the fact that if she hadn't been so unbelievable in her life, she would have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
If she had said he raped me with his penis,
Yeah.
she would have gotten away with it. If he slapped me instead of punching me, he slapped me around, didn't leave any marks, she would have gotten away with it. It's because she went for these extravagant forms of violence that you aren't walking away from, that people realized that she was full of crap and not just the one that she left on the bed. It's just, that's what and for me, the really scary thing is if she had been more intelligent about this and more sensible and cunning, Johnny Depp could have ended up in jail.
Oh, it's like
his life would have been over. So his life hung on the fact that his accuser went crazy with her allegations.
Yeah,
she didn't keep them within the realm of plausibility.
Do you remember the case of Gordon Smith, Alison? It was A Voice for Men did a lot of articles about Gordon Smith, right? He was a guy, I think he was in Vermont or something like that, where where prospective employers, when they do a background check, they can see your arrest record, not just your conviction record. They can see and his wife divorced him. She filed for divorce, and then they entered into a custody battle. He wanted 50-50. She wanted sole custody, and then she started with the false allegations. And she made 13 false allegations that resulted in 8 times this guy was arrested, right? He was arrested 8 times on these allegations, but every single time it turned out he could prove where he was when she said the assault or the rape happened, right?
Oh yeah, and they just let her keep changing her testimony.
Yeah, and then they would say, well, he can prove where he is, and she'd say, oh, it must have been Tuesday, not Wednesday, or whatever, right? Okay, so they just kept on letting her get away, and they'd have to let him go, right, with just the arrest record, which completely killed his job prospects, right? So he was unemployed the whole time. But then finally, after his 7th arrest, the cops or the court made him, because there was a restraining order, the court made him wear an ankle bracelet. Now, keep in mind, he'd never been charged with anything, let alone convicted. He'd been arrested 7 times, never been charged, never been convicted. He has to wear an ankle bracelet. And then she walks into an emergency room one afternoon and says, 20 minutes ago, a block and a half from here, he beat and raped me. Okay, and she's covered in bruises and shit, right? Bruises and abrasions and everything, right? And she's like, he beat and raped me 20 minutes ago, a block and a half away in an alley, and I walked here. And so it wasn't one of those situations where she could say, oh, I must have gotten the date or the time wrong, right? And his ankle bracelet showed him in a different county. Right? And he was like, okay. And then so they charged her with they finally charged her with filing a false police report, right? And then they let her off, and then they gave him every other week, Wednesday nights and every other weekend, custody. Yeah, that's what he got out of all of that, was Wednesday nights and every other weekend. And and he was like, thank God it's over, right? Because and he had to move out of state into a state where they can't look into your arrest record, because 8 domestic violence arrests, that's no. And so I'm just thinking about this, and I'm thinking, like, and she didn't serve a single he was arrested and put in jail 8 times, right? And then released without charge, right? She never got put in, she got put in jail 1 time briefly, and then was released and was charged with something that requires probation. And that's the price she had to pay for what that guy went through for a year, right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, and she's a lot like Amber Heard. Not her cheekbones weren't as sharp, right? But she looked like a little chipmunk, She looked like a cartoon character. She was like very perky looking, like she could be like Rachel Ray's older sister doing 30-minute meals, like that's who she could be. And I'm just like, I'm like, what the fuck? And Gordon, he gave a speech at the False Allegations Summit in Washington, D.C. in 2012, right? And he said, I went to bed in America, and I woke up the next day in Pyongyang.
Yeah, it is horrifying. And like I said, I'm going to have to go through the super chats and do some thank yous. But if Amber Heard was more sensible, Johnny Depp would have been screwed. That's what really saved him, and that is terrifying. What really saved him is that she just went to town. She went to crazy town.
Yeah. No, if Mrs. Smith had said, I woke up 20 minutes ago after being beaten, and I don't have any memory other than being beaten and raped, by my ex-husband. And then I staggered to the emergency. They would have been able to figure out a way, right?
To accuse him again.
Or if he wasn't wearing the ankle bracelet, to accuse him of...
It's actually horrifying. It's like, it is something that honestly makes me cry.
No, I honestly think that they didn't tell her that he was wearing an ankle bracelet.
Thank God for that.
I think that they were so sick of her bullshit, but couldn't do anything about it because of policy, right? That they were just like, wear the ankle bracelet, okay? And that'll track where you are at any given time. And then when she goes and accuses you, you can prove that for the last 24 days, you didn't come within 500 yards of her. Yeah. I think that's why they made him do it. He felt put upon. He felt put upon. He felt persecuted by being forced to wear an ankle bracelet, right? Like, are you saying I'm guilty, right? But I think that the authorities
it's entirely
were finally so sick of her bullshit, right? That they couldn't prove was bullshit. They didn't have enough because of policy, right, to prove that it was all bullshit, that they just said, put on an ankle bracelet so that we can track where you were and we can catch this bitch in the act.
And cue the feminist initiative, because it's always a feminist initiative, to throw out ankle bracelet GPS monitoring as evidence of innocence.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It gets exhausting. Just the sheer perfidy of it all.
Yeah. Do the super chat so we can play the next thing.
Alison, did you say perfidy?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, I'm glad that I got your approval.
Yeah, no. Also,
I just want to point out that freaking condo, the room that I was in, 5:30 every morning, jackhammer.
Oh God,
There was
5:30.
no comfortable place. There was no comfortable place in that freaking condo.
Every fucking morning. Yeah, 5:30 in the morning, jackhammer starting right outside. I was sleeping on the couch because I got wedged 4 times the first night.
Honest answer,
bed
the
in
couch was the quietest place in that whole area.
It was wonderful.
As soon as you were gone, I actually went and slept on the couch.
Oh, it was
the first night's sleep I got.
And the Starbucks,
Is there
which
one
was at the
piece of
base of the bed,
evidence
they were
that you
closed.
wish?
Sorry.
I think Brian was trying to tell us something. Stop
The
gossiping.
Starbucks was closed because the water was turned off. What?
No.
Okay.
No. Let's. Alison,
Okay.
what are the
super
chows?
chows, thank yous, and then we'll move on. All right, Herp gives us $5 and says Judge Penny is like an anime character. It's always the smallish characters that have the greatest strength. I can just imagine her now. Like she's just like a gnome.
She's Pikachu. She's Pikachu.
Yeah.
She was showing her power level today. I was just saying.
Did she have like a okay in real life without those crappy court microphones? Like, was her voice like lower or higher?
No, it's about curious. It's about the same. But she was just not putting up with shit. And maybe it's because she just had to sentence a guy to life in prison. It might have been. But it wasn't that she was mean. It was that she was very no nonsense. And she was showing her power level.
Okay. Great Indoors gives us $10 and says never say never when it comes to judges overturning certain rulings, especially when we're talking about Judge Dankula and his mean Supreme tweets.
The Judge Dankula Twitter is hilarious.
Senior Bean gives us $7. Any plans to go to Entropy? Oh, is this another platform? Like every couple weeks, there's a new damn platform. I found the interface much better. It supports a company that apparently is pro-free speech, and Susan doesn't get her cut. Okay. We probably won't go anywhere, but we could add it to our ever-increasing octopus of places we stream to.
Yeah.
All right, and John T., I hope that you intended to send that name. I'm not going to say your full name, John T., because I don't know if you realize that you sent what looks like a potentially legitimate name. John T. gives us $20 super chow and starts up a $15 subscription. So thank you, John. That's really appreciated. And says, nice. Great to see Brian, Allison, and Karen on the stream. Here's a few shekels in your hat. Badger on. And then we get a $5 support super chow from Anonymous, which just shows up as Zapier in my thing. But that's anonymous. So if you send $5, intended to have your name show up or some kind of attribution, just make sure to put it in the username text thingy so that I know who to thank. And I will do another refresh. Once again, if you want to help us out, it's badger.com/badger-media-blitz. I see a few more have gone through. Zuwam01, hopefully not your legal, $25. So thank you, Zuwam01.
Thank you. I'm gonna try and play
Not an argument.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, and then Brad D gives us $10. So thank you, Brad D. Very much appreciated.
Thank you,
and
Brad.
If you would,
let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should organize our societies along the lines of the lobsters.
Lobsters.
Along the lines.
Oh, hey, I forgot to do the intro today. No wonder everything got screwed up.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no coming to you live. I hate that intro now. I can't stand it.
Everything.
No,
right,
I hate everything that's been repeated a billion times before.
Beta.
Come up with something new.
Okay, you want a new shill. All right.
I want a new shill, one that does what it says. Okay. All right.
What is doing what it says in this context?
I want a new drug, one that does what it says, one that won't keep me up all night, one that won't make me sleep all day. Da 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 Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so I want a new shill, and I want a new intro. Get creative, Alison. Get on it.
Okay.
I'm counting on you.
All right.
None of this, no more of this. No more of this coming to you
we have all of
live from the
thank yous in the
from
thing?
the
Yeah, I think we do. Let's do. I think
horrid
one more
block.
clip, and then.
All right, let's
Call
play the
today?
next clip.
Yep.
Let me see, 2648. Yeah, I think that's here.
The jury had seen that you could point to. You say, this would have made the difference.
Yeah,
What is it?
there's a
She's talking about evidence that wasn't submitted. Okay? So she says that
Her eyebrows are way too high.
she has a binder. Let me play the rest of the thing, but I just wanted to set up the context so you know.
Can I just? It was submitted. It was excluded because it was
Right.
hearsay.
Right, I know. But let's hear her side first.
binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011 from the very beginning of my relationship that were taken by my doctor, who I was reporting the abuse to.
That doctor was Amber's therapist at the time.
All right.
I just want to say I haven't seen her frown once. I haven't seen her frown with her eyes once.
I don't
She
know
does
if
a lot of
she's
sneering.
I don't know if there's like a lot of she has like the capacity to express human emotion.
Yeah, well,
I know it sounds like I'm being mean, but I really think that she is disconnected from people.
Yeah, she's like, so I don't think it's Botox because she's capable of raising her eyebrow.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, but she has not frowned this whole time. And she's very wooden.
Yeah. She's having trouble expressing human emotions.
Yeah,
she does have little, that's what I was saying. But she does have little tells, like if you see like one side of her mouth kind of curl up, she's like expressing some disgust. So when she does this, where it's like you bite your lips, like these are I watched a guy, and it was last week, so I don't remember much, but I watched a guy who does like behavioral, like he reads people's behavior and their facial expressions. And he was talking, and also Duper's Delight that shows up a little bit, I think. But yeah, there's like a number of little things. The excessive blinking, that's another one. But okay, anyway, so this is what they have to say about her notes that she says she was collecting for years with her therapist. Which is kind of a red flag to me. If I was dating someone and they had a therapist and they had all these notes, probably would be looking for the way out. But
notes the doctor took during some of their sessions, which show that as far back as 2012, Amber was talking about physical abuse. In January of that
I have some context for this. I believe this was also excluded because she wanted to only put stuff with things redacted that she had redacted.
Yeah, no, like look at this big black freaking thing here.
Yeah, on the paper.
Yeah, so all of they went through and they probably redacted everything implicating Amber and then just submitted it. And I think the judge said, "Yeah, no, you can submit it all, or you can we don't look at it at all." Don't quote me on that, but I believe that is one of the possible situations that happened here. But also, like there was evidence, far better evidence on Johnny Depp's side that was excluded. There was recordings of, I believe, a man named Judge who since died, and they were directly after the incident in Australia when Amber Heard threw a bottle at Johnny Depp and severed his finger, and they were discussing the aftermath and how to protect her because glassing has a minimum 7-year sentence in Australia. So they were already starting to cover it up, and there's all this kind of conversation around that. And that was excluded because it was considered to be hearsay. And I'm like, that's a hell of a lot stronger than a bunch of therapist notes with redacted sections. And Johnny didn't get that in. So it's like, what she's complaining about here is that a standard was applied that if it hadn't been applied would have been more beneficial to Johnny Depp than her. But she's only complaining about her side of it. So this is like, and the fact that they even allow this on mainstream media is astounding, isn't it? Like that they would, as Johnny Depp's team said in response to this, relitigate everything.
Yeah, really, really, really. You think that this is astounding?
No, you're right. I'm using that as I don't find.
I mean, it's pathetic and retarded. But
it's like it's the establishment media is going with it.
It's not shocking or surprising.
No.
Yeah, astounding really isn't necessarily shocking or surprising.
It is a little bit remarkable that even in this case where Amber Heard is extremely unpopular with the public, with the court of public opinion, that they're still like fighting so hard to essentially humanize her, if not outright make her the sympathetic party here. And I think it's because it serves another purpose. I don't think they really care about Amber Heard. But I think that like what she's done and what's happened with this case and the revelations that people have had as a result are dangerous to these people. That scares them. And so they're desperately trying to like get control of the ship and basically put us all back on the, hashtag Me Too is good, believe women, yes, this is an outlier case at best, but in general, domestic abuse has another name. It's called wife beating. Follow the Duluth model. Feminism still is good. And yeah, we care about men too, because we're trying to help them fight against toxic masculinity. It's all about preserving these ideological, core foundational beliefs, and all of the legislation and power and money and funding that has basically come from that. And that's the reason why the mainstream media is willing to protect the indefensible, in whatever way they can.
And for anybody who's like, oh, feminism, you shouldn't. It's always like the problem is it is always feminists. Everybody on this side of the looking glass that is like, yeah, abuse has no gender. We're always fighting against feminist initiatives, either to manipulate statistics in such a way to present abuse as gendered, and they do it in ways like they redefine rape to exclude female aggressors and all kinds of other stuff, or to change how funding is done so it's only to women, and it's always feminists. And I've called out conservatives misandrous. Certainly conservatives can be misandrous, but it's like the feminists are really much more active about it. So everybody's like, well, feminism is about equality. Is it? Or is it about using equality as a means to shield any kind of criticism of what a lot of these feminist initiatives are actually doing?
Agreed. Like every single, 20, let's flash back to 2012, right? 10 years ago. I'm in Baltimore at the 2012 National Organization for Women's National Conference, yearly annual conference, and there were two bills, two renewal of the Violence Against Women Act, two bills on the table. One of them, the feminists described as the good bill, which would have expanded all of everything that we would see as dangerous, right? And the other was a Republican bill that ungendered several passages in the Violence Against Women Act. So it basically attempted to make domestic violence law federally gender neutral. Okay, and the first law that would have expanded protections for women, continued to exclude men, all of that stuff, and also would have excluded female batterers and male victims in same-sex couples from any kind of government-funded treatment or services. Okay, would have continued to exclude them. It would have codified that for another however many years. The only reason why that version of the bill renewal or did not go through was because they had an illegal appropriations clause. They were like, oh, yeah, no, we should be able to use the fines. If people are fined for domestic violence, we should be able to use those. But it didn't go through any kind of administrative law process, right? So there was a procedural error in the bill that the feminists wanted, and so it actually went with the Republican bill, which ungendered most aspects of the Violence Against Women Act, at least on paper, right? The policy documents are all still kowtowing to the Duluth model and all of that stuff, right? But
yeah, on this side, go ahead. Sorry.
But the gendered nature of the Duluth model was no longer codified in law because of the Republicans.
Well, yeah, I mean, now we're seeing more and more, at least in certain areas, a conservative support for some of our initiatives. But on this side, all of the people who have been fighting to make abuse non-gendered, to get men's services, or at least recognized as victims, to stop these kind of punitive legal situations that actually make it so much worse for male victims to come forward and get any kind of help, that actually traps them in the abuse because the system itself is the prison. We are always opposed by feminist organizations. It's like it's impossible not to notice that.
Yeah.
And and it's like a lot of people have expressed in some cases, I think there are some researchers that sort of adopt feminist language because they don't have a choice if they want to get their stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, because if it's between being able to study male victims and talking about how you're challenging toxic masculine notions and blah blah blah, I mean, I guess it's better to get that information out and the research recognized. But it's like this is it's not only do we have to deal with these initiatives that make it harder for male victims to find justice or services, and they're almost always, actually, I don't even know of a single instance where they aren't feminist initiatives. We also have to deal with feminist academics distorting the statistics on these issues, and it's unmistakable, and it's frustrating when people are like, well, that's not feminism. Feminism is about equality. Well, tell that to them.
Yeah.
Tell that to the feminists who are making the big bucks doing this.
Yeah, no, it's infuriating. And then when you actually show them proof that they've blocked a bunch of stuff, right, that would have actually brought about equality, right? They say, well, feminists don't have any power. I only wish feminists had that kind of power. Like, they twirl their frickin' butch haircuts into little pigtails, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just a girl.
Yeah,
I don't have any ability to do anything."
Men haven't wanted to save girls since time immemorial from other men.
There you go. Anyway, I have to go because I have to cook my husband's food.
Yeah, this is getting a bit long, 2 hours. So once again, I guess we're not going to finish off.
Ad lib a new show. And we'll revisit this tomorrow if need be.
Okay, guys, this Honey Badger Radio is extremely important to me because it has been, in many ways, the fact that we're coming together to talk about these issues, to push back against people who just don't care about men, and recently I've realized don't care about women. It is my source of hope to see people coming together to cooperate, to support these issues, to support continuing to talk about these issues. And in a lot of ways, that's what gets me up in the morning, at least when I see things like this, when I recognize stuff like if Amber Heard had been the least bit reasonable in what she was saying, instead of spinning out worse and worse and worse and more egregious lies that couldn't be backed up by any evidence, Johnny Depp would have lost. If Amber Heard wasn't her own worst enemy, Johnny Depp would have lost.
He wouldn't have lost. He would have been in prison.
Yeah. And think about that. Just internalize that for a second. The only reason why Johnny Depp won was because Amber Heard was her own worst enemy. Because she had all kinds of support from NGOs, all kinds of coaching, all kinds of people who are in her corner trying to facilitate these false allegations against a man. And if she had been more reasonable about them, she would have gotten away with it. That is terrifying. That is a terrifying world to live in. And for me, one of the few places where that isn't what the world is Honey Badger Radio, is the content we put out, is the community that we have created. And I don't want to see it disappear because it's going to be a much worse world if it does. So please go to feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz and make sure there's at least one light in the abyss of the real. All right. There you go. How's that, Karen?
Or go to Just the Tip because that's more amusing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get much more done. We'll pick it up again so that Brian doesn't feel like he's wasted his effort finding all of the worst pits of this.
There's only like 3 left, so that's basically like another 2-hour show.
Yeah, no, it totally
2 or 3 hour show.
Yeah, no, it totally is. Yeah. So maybe we will reconvene tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe not tomorrow, Saturday, but maybe Sunday.
Oh,
look at this space Sunday. Okay.
Sunday
all right. So once again, that's feedthebadger.com/project/just badger-media-blitz. Thank you, Karen, for throwing a wrench in it. Also, just the tip if you want to send us something. Endeavor to read it out as soon as we can. All right, Brian, back to you.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show today. And most importantly, please share this video because I think the more people that can, that watch it, the better. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of the Rantzerker/funzerker. And we will talk to you all in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.